got it, it's been a couple of months ago now. So we just like to present them, they're stork pins that came from the state of Maine, and just recognize them for a job well done. So first up would be Captain Winston Reed. And we do have firefighter Mike Morrow, who was unable to attend tonight. Next we'd have firefighter Sam Little.
Were all four of these folks together? Or
Yes, they were all on one call. Yeah, yeah. I'm surprised the whole department didn't go on that call. But and then we have firefighter John Stokely. That'll do it.
Do you have them all come up together so I can get a photo?
I can. Gentlemen, would you come on up? We'll get a picture.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen, very much. You guys obviously do so much for our city, and you know these special moments are nice to be recognized as well. So thank you very much for that. And moving right along, we have the AARP achievement. And Martin, would you like to introduce that as well?
Definitely. We do have an employee that's been intricately involved in this process, making Presque friendly to not only senior citizens, but friendlier to people, more accessible, I would say. And she's been working really hard with getting this certification, so I'd like to have Kim Smith, to come forward and discuss the award.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
You may know that Presque has a higher than average number of citizens age 65 and older. As a matter of fact, Presque has 21.5% of its population as compared to the nation with only 16.8%. So in 2018, the city became an age-friendly community registered with Maine AARP. And at that time, we made a commitment to actively work with residents and local advocates to make our town or city an age-friendly community. And that means that it's a great place for all residents to live, not just those of a specific age. We had to perform a community needs assessment, and based on that, we identified 3 domains to work on: outdoor spaces and public buildings, civic participation, and transportation. Over the last 5 years, working with various city departments and community partners such as the hospital, Seniors Achieving Greater Education, the Historical Society, we've made great advances in those particular domains. And last month, we submitted our 5-year progress report to Maine AARP. And as a result of that, we have received this very nice plaque from AARP. And it specifically recognizes Presque for its age-friendly leadership, achievements, and continuing commitment toward being a livable community for people of all ages.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kim. Okay, so we'll move right along into the public hearing portion of our meeting. We have a number of public hearings today, and I noticed some of them are similar. Martin, are we able to group these by similarity?
We certainly could. We could do one and two as long as the motion remains the same to approve both, but both of them have the same outcome, same recommendation.
Well, for our first public hearing, we have the approval of renewal of a marijuana license to Royal Leaf Apothecary, and our second is an approval of renewal of marijuana license to Full Bloom Management, LLC. And we'll start with Martin. Does the city have any recommendation on these two?
Yes, we recommend to approve. They have, the form does look a little bit different than ones you've seen in the past. The Department of Economic Community Development does have online forms, make it easier for these applicants to fill out for almost all the business forms that we offer. And they do meet all the local requirements and do meet the state requirements also, so staff recommends approval for both of these businesses.
Okay. So this is a public hearing, so is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on either item 1 or number 2? Did we get any written or email comments?
No.
All right. So seeing no comments, we'll close the public hearing. Are there any comments from the city council? Okay, then I would entertain a motion for public hearing items number 1 and 2.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the renewal of the marijuana license to Royal Leaf Apothecary and Full Bloom Management LLC.
We have a motion by Kevin. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jeff. And any further discussion? All those in favor? And that is 7-0. Okay, we'll move right along to number 3 here. We have the approval of a lodging establishment license for the North Eastland Hotel. Martin, are there any recommendations from the city?
Yep, staff recommends approving as presented.
So again, this is a public hearing. You can either come in person to talk on any of these items for any public hearing you see on our agenda, or you can send email comments. And Kim, what was that email? If you could give it out.
K Finnemore, KFINNEMORE @presque.me.us.
Thank you. So if you do have any comments, you can, again, come in person or email them, and we will read them at the city council meeting. With that being said, I will open the public hearing, and is there anyone from the public here to speak for the North Eastland Hotel? Did we get any written or email comments?
No.
Okay. Seeing no comments, we'll close the public hearing for number 3 and ask council for any comments.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve a lodging establishment license to Ignite PI for the North Eastland Hotel with a location at 436 Main Street.
There's a motion by Jeff,
Second.
second by Mike. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving on to number 4, we have approval of a lodging establishment license for Clark's Lodge. And Martin, does the city have a recommendation?
Council, yes, they recommend to approve a conditional lodging establishment with code violations to be corrected by the end of May 2023. There were some code violations that were found present when they did the inspection, so they're recommending that those be corrected.
Okay, thank you. So this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here from the public who would like to speak on number 4? Did we get any written or email comments?
No.
Okay. So seeing none, I will close the public hearing on agenda item 4 and entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve a conditional lodging establishment license to Roger Susi for Clark's Lodge with a location at 22 Pleasant Street. Code violations need to be corrected by the end of May 2023.
A motion by Jeff. Is there a second? Seconded by Craig. Any further council discussion? All those in favor of the motion? It's unanimous. Moving along to agenda item 5, which is the approval of a lodging establishment license for Martin's Manor. And Martin, does the city have any recommendations?
Yes, for a conditional, similar to the previous motion, we'd recommend a conditional license until the end of May 2023 to address code violations.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public here today who would like to speak on agenda item 5? Are there any written or email comments?
No.
All right, we'll close that public hearing. And are there any comments from the city council? Or I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve a conditional lodging establishment license to Fernand Martin for Martin's Manor Rentals LLC with a location of 227 State Street, 5 Exchange Street, 42 Winter Street, 72 Holton Road, and 240 State Street. Code violations need to be corrected by the end of May 2023 for each establishment.
We have a motion by Jeff. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Kevin.
Mr. Chairman, I'll recuse myself for professional reasons.
Sure. All right. Any further council discussion? All those in favor? 6-0 and 1 abstention. Moving on to public hearing number 6, which is the approval of lodging establishment license for Hampton Inn. Martin, is there a recommendation by the city?
Yes, to approve as presented. There's no code violations with this property.
Okay. Is there anyone here from the who would like to speak on agenda item 6? Were there? Yeah, please, sir. Come on up and state your name.
I don't really want to speak on agenda 6, but would you folks mind putting your microphones so that we can hear you?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So, anyone to speak on item 6? Any written or email comments? No. Okay. Seeing none, then we'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion from the city council.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the following lodging establishment license for the Hampton Inn located at 768 Main Street, Presque.
There's a motion by Kevin. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Gary. And all those in favor? It is unanimous. Next up is public hearing number 7, which is to approve Presque Development Fund facade loan for Chris Morton doing business as KHM Music at 412 Main Street. And Martin, we'll start with you.
Council, this was reviewed and approved by the Presque Development Fund Committee last month. They make a recommendation to approve a downtown facade loan in the amount of $25,000.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak? Any written or email comments?
No.
All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing and ask for comments from the city council or a motion.
Chris, I just love what you're doing with your business and appreciate that you're investing, into the downtown community. So, thank you.
Yeah, I'll echo that and just say that not only that, but they've been integral in many of our festivities in town and actively participate. We thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Any further comments or a motion?
I could just get a further comment, I guess. This is why we created the facade program.
Absolutely.
Was to, give people a reason to invest in our downtown. And from looking through the paperwork that Chris provided, it looks like he's going to try to preserve the historic nature of the building. And, this, in my mind, is a success. This is why the facade program's there. So.
Absolutely. And if there are any other business owners in town who are looking to refresh part of their business, then the city would love to be a partner with you. So definitely come on down, speak with our economic developer, our city manager, and we'll see what we can do for you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we approve a Presque Development Fund facade loan to Chris Martin doing business as KMH Music located at 412 Main Street.
Motion
Second.
by Mike and a second by Craig. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to number 8, which is the approval to authorize the creation of a land bank. And Martin, we'll start with you.
Council, there's an order that's attached that is the first step. We have talked about the creating a land bank at some previous meetings, and there are certain steps that we need to take to allow that. It's all dictated by state statute, what needs to occur. So after this, if council would consider moving the resolution as presented, we would need 2 councilors to volunteer. They meet the third Thursday regularly. So it would be a small commitment in the initial stages, and when we move further along with the land bank, it'd take a little bit more time. If there are questions, Mr. Weibly's here. You could definitely answer some questions of the council may have.
Do you need those 2 names tonight?
It's not mandatory, but it'd be helpful just for planning. We meet on the third Thursday at 10 o'clock. So.
Okay. there any counselors who would like to volunteer for that board? So we have one from Craig, and we have the second one from Kevin. So we have 2 counselors who are volunteering. Thank you guys very much.
Yep.
I know you guys are incredibly busy.
That's okay.
So moving forward with that, are there any comments from the public who would like to speak on the creation of the land bank? Did we receive any written or email comments?
No.
All right, seeing none, we'll close that public hearing and ask for comments or a motion from the city council.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt the proposed resolution to establish a land bank authority for the city of Presque.
Moved by Craig. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jeff. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. And our last public hearing for the night is agenda item 9, which is the approval to amend chapter 16, land use and code development. And we'll start with our city manager.
So council, we have talked about this at previous council meetings. Obviously, this has been something the planning board has discussed. And at the last public meeting we had between the planning board and the city council, we did come up with some recommendations and included these recommendations, which are in front of you. More than happy to review these, but might want to give a chance for the public to speak first, and then Mr. Weibly could definitely address any questions.
So are there any members of the public who would like to speak on agenda item 9? Come on up and state your name and go ahead.
My name's Carolyn Lightford. I live on 30 Braden Street. Last summer, we had a very bad experience with chickens. I don't want to bore anybody, just so you know, but what I learned last meeting from Rick Courier, the only thing that we were ever told by the planning board, there was going to be a $250 license. We weren't told any of that other stuff. If we would have been told that, we probably would not have felt so against everything. And I feel that the $250 should be the amount that somebody has to pay. Does anybody know what it costs to do a zoning board application?
We did have.
It's over $200. So if you guys put that down to $25, number one, everybody in Presque is gonna think they're gonna want chickens and not take care of them, like the ones that we had next door to us. The other thing is, if you put it that high, and they have all of these rules to go by, it's gonna be a very expensive thing to have the chickens. We know people that have them. They've got over $3,000 just in a coop so that they can do it the right way, and they live in the country. So, you know, it's like, I really want to thank Rick Courier for bringing out all of the stuff that he brought out last meeting, because we would have never ever known that. And I just think that as a taxpayer, we need this ordinance to protect ourselves. Because I'm not going to take my hard-earned money to hire a lawyer and try to get rid of some Jamokin's chickens that are not taking care of them. Because I already been through that last summer. Don't want to do it again. Hopefully these people will not do it again, because they found it very, very expensive. And I understand it's not the chicken's fault, but we just have to know who we were dealing with. But anyway, that doesn't matter. But that's just my opinion of the whole ordinance thing. We do need it to protect ourselves as a taxpayer, so that you guys can do your job and code enforcement can do their job to take care of it. And if the application is that high, you're only gonna get the people that really, really want them and will really take care of them. The other people right now that already have them, that have had them, I personally think that they still should have to pay that $250 application fee, even though they've had them without the ordinance. But whatever, you know, whatever you guys decide, that's totally up to you. But I just feel that if we would have known everything that was in that ordinance, like all the neighbors had to agree for people to have chickens, we never knew that. And all of the other stuff that was in there, it was never ever told to us in the planning board meetings. And we went to every one of them just to get information that we would, you know about it. But that's all I have to say about it. That we really need that ordinance, because like Rick Curry said, all these towns, people are calling him, and he can't help them because he has nothing to go by. Their town has nothing to go on. So at least we would by having it. So,
Excellent. Cool.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other public comments on agenda item 9? Did we get any written or email comments?
No.
All right. Last call for any public comments. Excellent. So we'll close that public hearing, and then I would invite our Economic Development Director, Gillian Wiley, to come up and talk about the changes proposed in the ordinance.
Good evening, City Council. You have in your packet some amendments that were provided by the city councilors that attended the planning board meeting. They got a briefing after the adjournment of the planning board meeting. We had a quick workshop. We went over in detail the land use code in its entirety, so everyone was briefed on all the changes that are being proposed. And out of that, we do have 4 amendments that are being presented by the city council. So the first one is on page 62 of your land use code book, and that is an amendment offered by Councilor Shaw. And this is an amendment that would permit by right, not the non-commercial keeping of livestock in our land use table. Let me get that for you for the screen.
So that's page 62?
Should be page 62 of your document. If it's not, it's 47.
I don't see it on either.
Oh,
Maybe. It's probably 47.
Article 1 or Article 2?
Article 1, page 47.
47?
It doesn't. This one just came on.
Problem is, every time you turn that one on,
That one's gonna turn off.
that one's turning off. So
You're
you
probably
probably
gonna
have
have to hit a
to
button.
manually turn that one off, turn both on with a remote, or other way around. There you go.
That one turn on?
No.
Okay, good.
One downstairs. One downstairs is like the light chair.
Oh, it's on.
Okay, they're both on.
Thank you.
Okay, so page 47. You'll see the amendment language there in the bubble. So basically, they're changing ZBA to permitted use. So now there is no hearing requirement that's being proposed by Councilor Shaw. Instead, it would be administratively approved by the code officer in-house. And how we would administer that is by building permit for any chicken coops or hutches that are being proposed, which is usually under that couple $1,000 mark, so it's usually $25 is the minimal fee that we require for structures that are less than the threshold.
And it would still give the city the ordinance to fall back on if somebody is not meeting
Yes.
the needs of the
They'd
ordinance.
still be in violation of our ordinance, and we would go after them for violation letters, and then eventually we'd take them to court.
Okay.
So that's the first change that's being offered. The next change is being offered, I believe it was by Doug. So that is Article 2, page 41. Councilor Seer is offering an amendment to the stormwater and erosion and sediment control. So that is up here. So right here, it had a requirement of 2 recycling containers, so it says should, and it doesn't require a specific number. It all depends on the development itself and if the developer wants to put it in. So it's a voluntary compliance.
That's fine.
The next one is on page,
You're on 41, can I go back?
which one was it?
41, go back.
Did I do? You said page 41?
Just stormwater.
Thank you. So this removes the requirement of a salt sand mixture to reduce the portion of for ice and snow control for the development. So when they propose on a site plan, they would specify, that's what that requirement would have required, but the counselor's recommending removing that requirement. So, last but not least, because we're making it permitted by use, Counselor Green caught a very good point at the planning board meeting, and that is in the land use standards for the livestock section, because if we're permitting it by rule, the landlords technically aren't part of that process really anymore. So we had a requirement in here in the standards where it stipulates that you have to get the permission of the landlord if you're renting the property in order to have livestock on their property. And that's right here. So it's subsection B, 2B. You'll see that there's a new language in there that was suggested by Craig at the meeting. So those are the amendments that are proposed by the council.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Any questions for Galen? All right. With that being said, do we have a motion on the table?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the changes to Chapter 16 of the Land Use Code as recommended by the Planning Board with proposed amendments by Councilors Seer, Green, and Shaw.
Motion by Jeff, is there a second? Seconded by Mike. Is there any further city council discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And it's unanimous. Thank you very much. And Galen and the planning board, thank you for all your, the months of work that went into.
Did we do number 8?
Yeah. Martin, did you get a motion on agenda item 8?
Yes, by Craig and Jeff.
Okay.
Yep. I do have a question. I'll defer to the city clerk, but did number 2, the full bloom, did that receive the motion? Were those done at the same time?
1 and 2 at the same time.
Perfect, okay.
Okay, so that will close our public hearings for today, and we'll move on to our citizen comment section. This is where any citizen can come in with a general comment for the city council, and can either speak here at one of our city council meetings, or again, can send an email to the city and they'll be read aloud. Does anyone have any comments for the city council tonight? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the citizen comment section and move on to our consent agenda. Looks like maybe items 10 through 18 we'll be able to take, or even 10 through 19 we'll be able to take as one item. Do any of these need to be separated out? All right. Then I'll read through the consent agenda. Item number 10 is to approve minutes from March 1st, 2023, and amended minutes for February 1st, 2023.
There is an issue with the live stream.
We want to take a quick recess.
The very first in the book.
Oh, in the book.
Yeah, right, yeah, very first.
Somewhere out there, Eric is laughing at us.
Absolutely.
Where is it?
Just make a comment while we're.
Yeah, please, come on.
We have the black SUV outside with the windows down, so they're gonna throw it out for
So if you have a
a wet week.
if you have a black
On
SUV
me.
outside, there's a
Everybody looks at Craig.
The back windows down.
I think I drove a station wagon today.
The rear one goes down. Just the rears. Yeah.
Oh, the car? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever. If it's me, it's no problem.
No, it's not the station.
No,
No.
it's parked in back of you.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, it'll just give me a reason to shampoo the rugs. I left the windows down in the car in the garage one time. The hose burst in the garage. Had one stream of water went up and went right perfectly in the window of the car. Filled the whole floor that deep with water running out the sides of it. Got the rugs clean.
We emailed Eric.
Okay. Okay, so we'll get back into it. Are we not live at all, or?
Right now it's not, it doesn't seem like it's broadcasting from what we can tell, so we emailed Eric to have
Okay.
him come over.
Okay, well, we'll do what we can. We'll keep moving on, and I'll just keep going through the consent agenda here. Number 11 is to approve 2022 warrants, number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, totaling $2,114,712.63. Number 12 is to approve employment agency license for Maine Staffing Group. Number 13, to approve employment agency license for Tempo Employment Services. Number 14, approve Professional Home Care Specialists LLC employment agency license. Number 15, approve taxi cab service license for Rustic Cab Company. Number 16, approve taxi cab service license for Town Taxi. Number 17, approve taxi cab service license for Carney's Taxi. Number 18, approve bowling alley license for Northern Lanes, Inc. And number 19, to approve the election workers. Are there any comments from the City Council? Or if not, I would entertain a motion to approve items 10 through 19.
I move we approve the consent agenda, items 10 through 19 as presented.
Motion by Craig,
Second.
seconded by Mike. Any further council discussion? All those in favor? And unanimous. That brings us to item 20, which is MSAD1 staff membership dues. And Martin, we'll go ahead and start with you.
So council, the reason why this is on the agenda is at the end of the goal-setting session last time when we were talking with the various department heads, one item came up that definitely piqued the council's interest, and that was about teachers from MSAD1 that use material from the library to instruct students. And the current policy didn't seem to align with the views of the council when it came to use. So I have the Sonia Eiler from the library to come and address the council and come up with a remedy that might be suitable.
Good evening. That's very depressingly tall. What I'm requesting tonight is a small change to our circulation policy, which currently it doesn't allow staff from SAD number 1 to have a free library card, even though the materials that they're checking out directly benefit the children that live here. And that's kind of in a nutshell.
Well, I think we were totally in support of that happening, so this looks good.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so for the public, I don't know how many you had, but we had teachers within MS81 that did not reside in Presque that were going to the library, getting material to teach their classes, and having to pay a membership to get the material to teach their classes from the public library, just because they did not reside in Presque, but they may be teaching Presque students.
Absolutely, Counselor, that is exactly
So
it.
that kind of seems like a no-brainer that we should be allowing that, so.
Yeah, and I request that we not single out necessarily teachers, but MSAD staff in general.
Yep.
So that we don't create a kind of a class system.
Yeah, I think your memo says staffers.
Yes, yes.
Excellent. Any more questions from the City Council?
Do students from surrounding towns have to pay for library cards?
If they're enrolled in SAD1, no. But if they are not enrolled in SAD1, then yes.
So like NMCC students, SUMPY
So
students?
the policy reads, that's actually a really good question. Thank you for that. So eligible for a free membership or library card, City of Presque residents, City of Presque property owners, City of Presque business owners, Northern Maine Community College students, school administrative district staff and students would be the change, University of Maine at Presque Isle students, and institutional cards for appropriate organizations. And basically what that means is I'm going to get this name wrong, but what was formerly known as Opportunity Training Center, those sorts of places where they do have students and use our materials. So,
Great.
yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any further comments from City Council? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move we discontinue the annual membership fee for all MSAD1 staff, regardless of where they reside.
Motion by Mike,
Second.
seconded by Jeff. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. That's the last item from our consent agenda tonight, and we will move along to old business, and we'll do the 2024 solar eclipse update.
Good evening again, Council. As you know, we will be the epicenter of a total solar eclipse a year from now in April of 2024, and we are actively planning. I've been asked to give you a brief update on what we have accomplished thus far. A committee has been formed, and thus far we've had 2 meetings. Excellent group of community partners have come to the table. We have confirmed 4 designated viewing areas, being General Aviation, the Gentile Hall parking lot at Umpy, Riverside, and the fairgrounds, and hope to soon confirm a 5th, being the mall. 500 letters have been sent out to area businesses. Flyers are being distributed at public events. A website has been created. And for instance, on that website, we will have a map of those viewing areas. Our student intern is working on this to put it together for us. He's doing a great job. A grant is in the process of being written for marketing for the grant, because the committee has decided that we want to be proactive, not just wait for people to show up, but actually invite them to come here. We are the largest city in the viewing path here in Maine, and we, of course, have large hotel properties and the only international airport. So we want to use those to our advantage and attract more economic impact. The eclipse is on a school day. It's on Monday, April 8th. So we have met with SAD1 out of concern for the students, because the eclipse basically takes place when the students will be on the buses on their way home. So we are hoping that SAD1 makes the decision to either call it a remote school day or an in-service day, and that is being taken into consideration. We are meeting with area civic groups. We've already met with the Kiwanis and the Lions, and the Rotary is coming up soon. One of the things that we are very interested in doing is getting children's books on eclipses so the library can have them. Wintergreens, young students can have them, and other groups like that, including the school system. And both Kiwanis and Rotary have expressed interest in funding school books for us. We are going to create and hold some events. We know that people will trickle in slowly, and if you remember from the last presentation, we're expecting between 10,000 and 40,000 people to show up for this. So we expect they'll trickle in over the course of a few days, but one thing we don't want to happen is to have them all decide to leave at the same time, because as you know, our only means of egress are either Route 1 or Route 11. So we are hoping to create some events to encourage them to stay over. Katahdin has graciously offered to do some radio ads for us for the event. The LL Bean Bootmobile has been officially requested to make a presence. We have also started preparing some safety flyers for the event, and we will be preparing a flyer that's called What Locals Know. We're copying that from Iceland when they had an eclipse there. And one of the things that will be very prominent on that What Locals Know is, since it's April in Maine, don't park on the shoulder of the road and don't attempt to park in a field, because we don't really want to have to tow them out of that. One issue that we are still trying to resolve is camping. We know a lot of people will be showing up in RVs. None of our campgrounds are open that time of year, and there are also no dump stations available that time of year. So we are still working to come up with a solution for those issues. But we are making great progress, and I think this is going to be an excellent opportunity for Presque Isle. And while I'm up here changing the subject just briefly, I don't know if any of you saw the Star Herald today, but the announcement was made in there for the awards coming up from Presque Isle Rotary, and the Service Above Self for an Organization Award will be going to Presque Isle Historical Society. And we have been asked by Rotary to invite all of you to attend the award dinner, which will be on Tuesday, April 25th. The social hour begins at 4:30 with the dinner at 5:30. It will take place at the Legacy Event Center, which I believe is in Mars Hill. And it's $25 a person. They do ask that you make registration in advance so they know how many will be attending. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Kim. Those numbers are pretty crazy. 10 to 40,000 people. That's no small deal. That'll be very exciting for sure. Any more comments from the City Council? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 22 in old business, which is review of the 2023 goals.
So, Council, we have a total of 10 goals that we voted upon as a group with staff. And we also included other ideas and other concepts that were discussed, and department-specific goals that they'll be undertaking over the next year, 18 months. So what I would like to do is, if there's no other changes to this, is move forward, I guess, a formal vote to adopt these for the 2023-2024 goals.
All right. Do we have any comments by City Council on our list of goals here?
I think it's very accurate, and I think they encompass all of the items that we wanted to add to for focus. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, if you would allow me the opportunity to read the 10 goals that briefly summarize this.
Please,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
So, getting the most votes was the promotion marketing of Presque Isle as the hub of Aroostook County. The MDOT PPI project, Main Street Downtown Transportation Improvements, the feasibility study, that's beginning now. The Aerospace Park and Terminal Phase 1, that's to design and identify funding opportunities to complete approximately 16,000 square foot building and connect utilities. So to design and secure funding for that project. Creation of a facility building and maintenance position within the city to oversee city assets and maintenance. Something that was developed a little bit earlier, the land bank goal, that was item number 4 or 5 on the list, to create and implement the land bank resolution and to draw up a bylaws for the working group and appoint commissioners. Budget redesign, a new format workshop for councils and departments. Regional broadband expansion. Item 8, I believe, is a housing goal, something you're gonna be hearing a lot, I believe, both within city council and outside, to coordinate with the land bank, use of TIFs and CEA, cost estimates for developing road utilities, site work and permitting. Funding sources, identify those within the state, such as Main State Housing and Presque Isle Development Fund. Identify other partnerships. Identify locations and available land for development. Consider blighted properties, tax acquired properties, and location to the compact area and public-private water and sewer access. And again, I think the Essential Air Services Program, the bidding is going to begin at the end of 2023 with recommendations from the Airport Advisory Council and the City Council in the first quarter of 2024. And then I think the final and 10th goal was to create a website that continue basically what we started last year, that is consumer-centric which highlights services and activities to people within the city. I think it's important to kind of review those things for people and I think this is a very comprehensive and ambitious list. And there are many other additional items that can be done as well. So I'm looking forward to working on some of these in the next 12 months.
Thank you very much. And we will put working groups to these in the future as our department heads and city council and any other interested city party come together and start making plans to see these to fruition. And I know we're not live, unfortunately, but we always, you know, if you are interested in one of these goals, certainly come down, have your chance to get on one of those working groups and work towards some of these goals that the city is interested in. And you can be involved with that from the ground up as well. So moving right along to new business, item number 23 is the Star City ATV grant support request. And we'll start with Martin. if you wanna-
So council, this is an annual request that we get from the Star City ATV Club, and we do have the president, Dick Howlett, that has agreed to discuss what the plans are for the upcoming year and talk a little bit about the grant process.
Yeah, this year, we'd like the city to support us in a municipal grant. We're gonna be applying for $60,510. This is a 90-10 grant where the Department of Conservation pays 90% and Star City Club does the other 10% as in-kind labor and any donations. We've been doing this for 20 years, so and we've put a lot of money into our trail system, and so we're just asking for your support again.
Thank you very much. I know, I'll just say that.
Just while you're right there, Dick, too, you're also planning a big event for this later this summer, are you not?
Yeah, it's August 18th, 19th, and 20th. Yeah, that's the same weekend that the state gives a free weekend to all out-of-state people and in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
As long as their vehicle or their ATV is registered in that state or the country,
Mhm.
they can come here without having to register it.
Yeah.
So we plan it on that weekend.
Yeah, it's that same time frame we're having our antique car event as well. And I had a gentleman from Massachusetts call me yesterday, and he says, I'm bringing my car and the ATV. When I get done doing the car thing, I'm staying for ATV. And
That's awesome.
so I think that's really kind of neat.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I'm the northern rep for ATV in Maine, and it's really amazing the trails we got up here.
Mm.
It's a good thing. We put a lot of money into the trail system, and I didn't mention, but couple of the things we're going to do this year is to grade the trail going from our park and ride to Crouseville Bridge, and then the other big project is the Chapman Trail that goes from the Chapman Road to the Presque Stream. We're going to be fixing that up and grading it and stuff. So, and then all the other just the regular mowing and signing and all that stuff.
Very good. Any more comments or questions from the city council? Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we support the ATV Club's request for the grant they're seeking with the state and the Department of Conservation.
We have a motion by Craig. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Seconded by Jeff. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. And I got a little bit ahead of myself. We'll go back to item 22 again, which is the review of the 2023 goals. And Martin, did you want a motion from the city council?
I think it'd be nice to formally adopt.
Sure. So I'll go ahead and make the motion to formally adopt the 2023 goals as presented in our packet.
I second that.
And so there's a motion by Jake and seconded by Mike. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. All right, and our last item of new business today is a letter of intent for MDOT Railroad right-of-way, and we'll start with the city manager.
So council, this project has been a long time in the making. It started almost 2 years ago when when there were plans to do a recreational trail on the east side of the existing railroad. And we have included a map. It's been kind of, it is kind of hard to read, but it's Exhibit B that I will pass out. And it is, the deed's old. It's from the 1890s. And so it's small, it's hard to read, but basically it's the land that abuts, starts where the rec maintenance garage is and goes all the way to Chapman Street. And what the original purpose of this railroad was to do the railroad spurs back when there were potato houses unloading and loading. So what the proposal is for the city to purchase those old railroad spurs and about a 40-foot wide path all the way from the existing rec maintenance buildings all the way to Chapman for future use. Again, this was started 2 years ago when there was a plan to do a recreational trail. We can't say that those plans currently are in existence, but we do think the recommendation from staff is to move forward with those trails, move forward with purchasing that land.
Yeah, well, I would just add my thoughts that I think it's a great opportunity. It certainly also gives us the opportunity in the future to do those kinds of things, and there really is no other really use, I guess, you know, other than possibly that in the future. So it's a good opportunity for the money presented at $5,000.
Any other comments from the city council? All right, seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
I'm trying to find it. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to authorize the city manager to sign a letter of intent dated March 24th, 2023 with the Maine Department of Transportation to purchase the railroad as presented.
We have a motion by Kevin,
Second.
seconded by Jeff. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor? And it's unanimous. So that concludes our new business for today, and we'll move right into the manager's report.
Council, I have one important announcement, and 2 weeks ago, we surprised Chief Darrell White. He was selected by his peers to be the Maine Fire Chief of the Year for 2022, and that award took place at the annual conference that happened. So I was there to accept the award and present to the council that this is the official award that the Maine Fire Chiefs Association presented to Darrell White. He was very surprised, and
Well
it was nice.
Yeah.
It was nice to see that him being recognized for all the work he's done for the 37 years being with the city of Presque.
That's awesome.
That is amazing. All right.
Very good.
We'll move into the announcements for today, which we have the Spring Trash and Treasure at the Forum on April 15th and 16th. The Presque Isle Rotary Week begins April 24th, celebrating its 100-year anniversary. And the city has the following employment vacancies. We have a position for a firefighter and a police officer. We have the following vacancies for boards and committees. The assessment review is, we have 2 openings, 1-year alternates. Audit committee, we have 1 opening, which is a 4-year member. The planning board, we have 1 opening, it's a 1-year alternate. Zoning board, we have 1 opening for a 3-year member and 1 1-year alternate. Rec and Parks, we have 2 openings, and they are both 1-year alternates. And if you are interested, please see the city clerk for an application, or you can apply online. And lastly, the next regularly scheduled meeting of the Presque Isle City Council will be on Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers at City Hall. Any announcements from the City Council? All right.
Only thing I'll add is that immediately following that meeting, the next 3 days are the circus.
Okay.
The 4th, 5th, and 6th.
There you go. Okay, thank you everyone for coming tonight. That concludes the city council business, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Kevin, seconded by Mike. All those in favor? And that's it. Thank you everyone for coming tonight. Drive safely. The roads may be a little slick.